In this chapter, we are going to create the branches on the head. If you press 1 for the front view, you will see it on the reference here. And we'll use some really simple trick to do this. We'll be just extruding some vertices and applying skin modifier over them and then fixing some issues. So let's get to it right now. And I will select the mask first and press H to hide this. And now select the ball, that's a placeholder for head, and hold Shift S and switch cursor to select it. So we have a cursor there. And now I will press Shift A. And with the extra objects active, we have an option to create a single vert object, add single vert. And right now we are already in the edit mode after adding. So just be sure to switch this to vertex select by pressing 1. And now we can move the vertex in place where the first branch will go. So somewhere here probably. And now we'll just extrude some branches. And don't worry if you don't see behind the feathers here. Remember that this should be very organic process. When I first extruded these branches, I didn't have any like a real branch reference or anything. So just go with the flow and finish like you see here on the reference. So I will just press E now and extrude the first vertex and continue like this until I match something similar that I can see here on the screen. I might have a little trouble to do that as well, since I don't remember the exact position for these branches. And now let's enable the X-ray, and I will push this a little bit up and extrude this down so I can create this part as well. So let's extrude this, and then a little bit of that. Okay, and I will just continue by duplicating this first vertex. So Shift D and duplicate where the next branch would go and just start extruding that. So press E, extrude, or you can control or right click to make things really fast and just click through that. But sometimes I find actually pressing E and extruding a little bit more precise than with the control right click, so keep that in mind. Okay, something like this. And there's another branch right here and it's barely visible, so let's just do something like this, and then a little part like that. I will now tab out so you better see the structure for these branches if you want to repeat this. And now I will add a skin modifier, so go to the modifiers tab and add a skin modifier. And this doesn't look pretty right now, but we will fix that. If we tab back in and select these 3 vertices, we can drag a selection around them or shift click. And we will mark all of them as root. And now select all, so press A and press Ctrl A to scale all of this down. And with this we are actually modifying the radius on these vertices, from which the skin modifier takes the information about how thick it should be. So right now we are trying to find some middle range, some median value for the thickness of these branches, something like this, I would say. And now we can scale up the roots, so press Ctrl A and scale this up, and we can maybe move them a little bit closer here so it's really visible that these are a little bit more wide. And now select all of the endpoints you can see, so by holding Shift just click the end vertices on every branch. And we'll now enable proportional editing, so press O or click here. Press Ctrl A and scale this down. And remember, you can modify this with the scroll wheel on your mouse. So we don't want the radius to be very large. We want something like this. And remember to look at the reference. You will see at which point this starts to match. So I think something like this should work. And now we can turn off the proportional editing by pressing O again. And let's look from the side. So I will press 3 on the numpad, and you can see these branches go in several directions. So right now I will hover over the first one and press L to select all the linked vertices. Now go back here to the side view, and I will press G to move this here and R to rotate to place this over the reference like that. And the bottom one here, so you can see I hovered over there and press L, and let's rotate this as well and around the Z axis so we can place it like this. Okay, and a little bit more towards the head here, so something like that should work. And you can always play with this a little bit more. If you hover over this one and rotate around Z, you can get a little bit more angle, so from the side it's visible that it's a branch. I will leave it like this for a while, and we can now exit the edit mode, so tab out, toggle the X-ray again, and I want to enable smooth shading. Here on the skin modifier you have to do this. It won't help you if you enable smooth shading right there, because it's overridden by the skin modifier here. So check the smooth shading there, and I want to add one level of subdivision like this, so press Ctrl 1 or add the modifier here manually, and you can see we have a 1 viewport division, and I really like this. So right now I'll just have to check around if there are some shading issues. I really recommend doing this after using a skin modifier. I will try to simulate some problems here. If you maybe have some vertices too close together, let me disable the subdivision, it can really break your skin modifier like this. So it's always good to go around your model and check if the skin modifier works properly. If you see some problems like this, don't worry about this. You can just easily select the vertex and move it a little bit around until the problem disappears. These vertices just need some breathing room around them, depending on the radius you have applied with the Ctrl A. So they'll just need some breathing room to work properly. We can now enable the subdivision modifier again. And one last thing that's missing here is the mirror modifier. So we'll apply that. And it works automatically because we move the cursor to the center of the head, and that's where the origin point for this whole object is. So the modifier automatically applies the X mirror around that origin point. So right now we can just press Alt H to unhide the mask, toggle the X-ray to look around, and we are getting somewhere. This already looks nice. And remember these easy small modeling shortcuts, like creating something from a single vertex and then applying skin modifier and some of the other modifiers to create something that looks complex. That's something where Blender really shines.